Hi, we're going to start in about 10 minutes because of subway delays, and then we'll probably skip a break today, so if you have to use the bathroom, they're right out there. All right, thanks.
Schon da besucht Meine Damen und Herren, Ariane, Carminetta, Scaramuccio, Harlequin. Auf die Szene, wenn ich bitten darf. Ich soll mit dieser Person auf eine Szene stehen.
Hi, we're going to get started in just a minute or two, so if everybody can wander towards their seats, that would be great. Thank you. Hi, everybody. We're going to get started. So if you could take your seats, please. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And thanks to Violet Spurlock and Nature Theater of Oklahoma for reading today. And thanks to Segue Series and Artist Space for hosting us. I'm going to introduce Violet, who will read first. And then usually we take a break, but because of the subway situation, we started a little late, and we're just going to go straight through. And Monica De La Torre is going to introduce after Violet reads. When I first thought about having to introduce Violet Spurlock, I've got to admit I was a bit intimidated. How do you attempt to describe work that seems actively engaged in an effort to resist categorization? But perhaps complicating the usual relationship between audience and contemporary poetic text is the whole point. In her recent conversation with Wendy Lauderman on Feature Feed, Violet Spurlock talks about her interest in creating a subjectivity that you can enter and access and feels familiar, but following along with it requires disruptions in your own sense of your experience in categories. Reading Violet's In Lieu of Solutions, her first full-length book recently out from Future Poem, I experienced this sense of uncertainty as a reader, that I am encountering new ground. These poems seem to masterfully recalculate on the fly. As they navigate an onslaught of thoughts, feelings, perceptions, sensuality, and insist on a through line, a delight in the process itself, an acrobatic way of negotiating, of finding a way. We become increasingly aware of the body of these poems themselves, of the relationship between form and bodies, of the reflection on bodies at the heart of this work. Quote, "If there is any space, it will be there, the space between our body. I have been forced to become interested in our body since it carries a gender, but devilishly, I am aware our body can be edited beyond comprehension we do not yet know." There is also a kind of pre-perception, the moment before thought hits full comprehension at play here. It is an offbeat speech act that keeps you on your toes, takes things out of their usual constellation, a folding in of sentiment upon itself. A challenge to us as readers to question our expectations about what is happening in these poems and what is about to happen. Quote, "What is the work that we're asking poems to do?" Again, quoting from Violet's Future Feed interview. "And what if the poems don't want to do that work?" she asks. Violet Spurlock is a poet living in the Bay Area, where she is a PhD student at the University of California, Berkeley. Her chapbooks include Alloyed Bliss, Eyelet 2021, and Verses, Gauss PDF 2021. In Lieu of Solutions is her first full-length collection. Please welcome Violet Spurlock.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Dan, and to everyone at Future Poem and Segue for helping make this event happen. I'm really excited to be reading here and to have the excuse to come loiter in New York again and for a while. I think in the interests of trying to bring into play some theatrical element, I'm going to remove the titles of all the poems and the banter in between and kind of just sink into them for a while. And when we come out from it, it will be over. I sometimes fantasize about having my lights knocked out, but never spending nights locked out. More than pain, we want the feeling of an event. Mundane processes will feel like events when they are new. I went to the dump for the first time. Now they prefer to call it a transfer station. Recycling a mattress which was not mine, the possibility of it being used by a person to sleep on the street had upset my former landlord. Threatened with fines, I complied. Waiting in line at the transfer station, ears pounding with the engine's throb, breathing shit from the fires and trash, I thought I would write a poem, and that the imagined existence of that poem would redeem this afternoon. If this poem ends up existing solely to redeem my bitterness at an afternoon spent confronting the infrastructure which comprises and compromises so many lives, we may not find much meaning in it. For time is never won back, for it is never lost. The train went by. I thought Bernadette would take a picture, so I took one. Why do I make it mean so much less on the screen? Juliet is doing therapy on the phone. The air is bad, but she has a P100. My N95 is fairly snug. I have a fortuitously sized skull. The air blowing the trees being the same air I breathe. The world could be pure stone, and so be grateful it is not. I will take a phone call in a minute. Watching workers wearing ball caps manufactured by workers in Asia delivering trash to the transfer station, which exports the trash back to Asia. The network of labor, its involuntary chaos, hurtled into place over and over with threats, how compliance and other stuff gets made. I thought, would a poet do this? And became my dad, submitting to the small range of options and the necessity of completing the task. On the whole, I like quitting. It's a definite orientation towards the task, not like the limbo of this line where I have actually fully forgotten where, what, and why I am. I mean, I am literally in a line, in a long line of idling trucks. Bernadette says, "Good night, I burned my finger." I read that in the morning with lines yet to write, and then burned my finger. So it is through and from my pain I say good night. I read the third poem from 3 books. 1, Nature, Philosophy, Circles. 2, Gender, Violence, Performance. 3, Bodies, Labor, Punning. There is a thirdness in this poem, punctuated by a joking scream. In the quarantine relationship, each is the other's foil, and the third is the world, represented by the news. Each one reads the news differently, and reports that reading to the other. I read the news from the perspective of depression. This morning, really afternoon, I anticipated the day's failure, and between handfuls of almonds, emailed myself. When I am depressed to the point of reaching for death, I feel like a man. I say, I am a dead man. What would it mean to have a woman's death? I need to know. This question haunts me as I stalk empty streets under a gray sky, which the censors say is clouded more by fog and less by smoke, so I stroll with Sophie. The life I know I desire and am currently living, but must occasionally live outside of my body. She spun and spun her spinning as a burden, and for all I know, it is all true. I know it is illegal to give a bed to someone sleeping on the street, that I followed that law in some obscure way without any desire to uphold it. I Googled delusions and soothed myself with my degree of sanity, conferred by an institution which is inevitably insane. Thinking the world is dysfunctional is the hobgoblin of reformers. There is nothing I want to be done but a nice long rest for all for real, at last for the very first time. All the destruction necessary for true calm, true rest. Meanwhile, rest assured, I sleep a little too well. Sophie admits there is a lot of suffering, but refuses to draw further conclusions. This is because she is protecting me from my addiction to slippery conclusions. Her instinct is to look for beauty and joy and love. I ask, how? She says, by paying attention. They say love is attention, so I suppose you see love in the world by giving love to the world. That's not very surprising. By wanting a world that does not exist, you are not giving love to the one that is real. If there is a dialectic sneaking around here, I want to negate both thesis and antithesis in one fell swoop, like my hair cascading in the shower. What did I give the world today? I gave it a mattress to transfer and process and recycle. They claim the mattress foam will insulate a house, but there is a person tonight houseless without a mattress. I saw today hundreds of mattresses sitting behind barbed wire like precious cargo or weaponry. 20 million mattresses into the landfill each year. What am I paying attention to? I read the news and emails and at best the books. What I forge through these experiences is my most embattled hope. I saw the trash mountain and prayed to feel the once daunting smallness of humanity. It's always time to talk about the end of the world because it has always just happened. A totality like world can only take shape if you imagine its dissolution or limit, and everything that makes it is unmaking, slavery and fire and war. But the trick is, if you pay even closer attention, your care can recreate what you see. You see through the world, and you end up singing. I see the demons and dimwits on screen mirror my dirge and make it look flat, so I fold. A song, a splash of color brings me to tears, bested by a cartoon. I try to weep in blissful abandon, but instinct makes me swallow my sobs. They say music is better than words, so that's why I use words. There's no improvement to offer. This isn't about progress. The attention that a book demands tricks me into loving the world. There is another end of the world, and that is its ever-deferred purpose, the infinite, invisible, indivisible chain of labor and care and love, silently answering the question, to what end? They say you write to the dead, for the dead taught you how to write. So you don't need to imagine a future to care about writing your book. You need to imagine the world ending by way of an epiphany in which everyone realizes their care is utterly unique and compromises no other, comprises no totality, and as established in a previous line, you know this has happened already. I wondered why I couldn't fully trust this knowledge yet, looking into my mother's eyes and spitballing about my purpose. It seemed obvious. The reality of writing was beyond doubt. We are talking about sacred acts requiring and generating shudders of faith in this reality. Please contribute. Got stuck in the bad world again. Made a lot of sliding judgments, writing from a distance to the perfect enemies of toxic positivity, sweating into the tuna salad. The air is chunky yellow smoke, cumbia tornado on fucking repeat. E plus E and, we all like to be more than overpaid data entry layabouts. Quick come wondering which girl has the lucky dick, and how so smooth, my little velvet victim. I have the cash, but no resolve. Where there's no will, there's no way to dole it all out, and there's plenty more than we can handle of hair and sex and history, masturbation and meditation in the same hour, and no contradictions. Every man speaking loudly on the empty street, always in the wheedling voice of my boss, certain there's time to make his, as if you were really talking about the dog. I'm so deep into womanhood, I recklessly ascribe valor or even nobility to ordinary practices performed by those I love. Your quarantine calendar is a seizable miracle. Disdain for labor's perpetual proximity, proximity refracted through hierarchy. Seeing myself through their eyes, my achievements were compromises. I was losing leverage. To formulate a strategy, you must posit a target, not trying to point fingers, prone to dizziness. At abrupt crumble of eroded road, I asked permission to take the picture. It's possible that awe and suspicion cancel each other out. Bragging about ignorance of plant names felt like being a bad tourist of Earth. It's a little embarrassing to have a medium robust belief in God. There are plenty more absolutes we can offer you. We wanted to build a doorway with no door or walls by the water. It would stand to indicate the urgency of completing metonymy. A roof and everything else for all, for a world without Ferraris. Describing the size of the speculative economy, its dampening effects on labor power, gently bursting your bubble of conviviality because I need the room to match my mood. Being selfish doesn't change the subject. Cost of living skyrocketing, still slower than the explosion of all this so-called living. A hamburger would cost about $200 if you paid for all its externalities. Let's split it. I dealt in documents arranged to embarrass the innocent, trying to learn real life lessons from a boyish game of wits. I would be paid to vaguely understand oil markets as a young child, hoping to anticipate the transitions in the order they arrive, preparing for the sacrifice by stocking up on moral rhetoric. Too many of these words sound like my old name. I have no idea what to do with less, all the less we have coming to us. But I swore never to trust calculations. There's always some vaccine to thank those assholes for, but the number gods will always discount us. There's more to life than living. All the accidental ways we threaten each other, since intention is a residue of mothering, flesh infallible, milk sweet, and other pleasing myths which prolong belief. I'm not going to pretend to enjoy fresh fruit for a soft moment alone. I care about fresh fruit for your sake, for you show me its sweetness. Keep your complaint social. She said she had to pee, but holding it in would give her energy. Spotting silver linings to go along with inevitable continuance. I always make the same wish on every eyelash, aligning our little sphere of needs with the stars of all creation. My friends see more seductive appeal in a panacea's opposite, the root wrong. I skipped ahead to the part where the loss became a blessing in disguise. The blind boldness of continuance gives everything permission. Let's feel alienated together. Let's get visible. Remember how the tooth fairy taught us we could sell our bodies? Toxic finance priest pickling his prick. Lesbians combing each other for ticks. Suckered into something undefined. Giving, holding, taking space, and moving the fuck on. I giggle off irreconcilable exit strategies. You can only aim at what you see. Imagine having an imagination on the golden mountain where value folds, misreading density for destiny. Were you thinking about evil directly after your orgasm? I guess it doesn't matter. Laziness only goes one way, like a sack of onions. At some point, the pill's effects become irreversible. We conjoin cause to blame, pervert accountability, limiting the function of sorrow to forgiveness, not going anywhere if the night's got us all. Give the greens another minute. Perhaps with negative pricing, currency enters moral territory. What will you do to keep this problem away from you? Enmeshed, you'd merely writhe. Adrift, sleep knots the timeline. People confess just to savor the past tense. If the future arrives, it will always be before our bodies, adjusting hormones to circumstance. Does water decide to assume the form of its container? Perhaps knowledge of purpose doesn't make for met needs. The curve of the sky carves the lens of the eye. Keep cool about it by going blind. Concern indicates emptiness the way a ghost bike marks a location. If you name the subjects, your name spills onto the page. There's already a million places to kiss, while you're acting too dumb to verbalize emotions. My fury obscures the trail's living details. Ooze out the remainder. Sludge brain can't hold a grudge, reflexively accepting late amends. I can't count as high as this happening, blissfully beyond comparison. Endpoints do not distinguish series from sequences. Proof of necessity does not make necessity, and other opaque formulas which dispel suspicion. Praise the microchip as microcosm, the infinite availability of invisible servitude, the automated fiction of masters without slaves, from a highly selective perspective, simplifying management styles by means of willful ignorance, exercised in homes with spare rooms. That dog is your heart. Does it need scolding or loving? They know better what to do with too much. Nothing. The stasis is fractal, a pawn upon a pawn. I minimize the meeting, but it's still going on. I invented chronological residue to give my envy a jelly form. Love's lilting tears blessed the pleasure desert. The key at the end of the book was not incomplete enough, every element definite, or worse, weightless. The letters would be better off smudged into indistinct angel wings. If their sleep is taxed, inattention poses flesh tests ending glum and sticky. I'm offering an extra imprint. My upwardly mobile pastry, with its powdered and slivered water gluttons, validates the permit of all loungers. Other animals give us license to interact. Free speech tricks the speaker into laughing off the physical toll. It always starts inside you. Like a lucky sucker, I fail to utilize my dental privileges. Blood swells serve to remind me. Not enough thinking with your nipples. Backdoor bias makes all our ennui go round. This is nice, Grandma. Unbelievable dialogue meaninglessly accompanying the baton was how we learned not being a cop is more important than being human. Because my friend slept, I lived indulgently. Whether it felt good was an accident. The man in my house was pulling off his face, saying they weren't all men at the gym. My edgewise word was about my father, inevitably. Sad to hear about her gender being stolen recently. My body accrues time and loses it at the same rate. Sometimes, when a festival arrives, I realize all at once that I haven't acquired much evidence to prove that I exist, that I can sit in front of the artists, that I do speak sexual languages, that obvious things deserve at least an afternoon's puzzling, and my confusion is not unbecoming. Futures Watcher remains determined in the last instance. Change leaves us in slow seeking, as if on a collapsible bridge, choking down wooden bubbles in the gasp economy. I place half my trinkets at the altar of language's declarative power. What is sacrifice when a universal metric of value credibly looms over every dead or living object? Child takeover making a mockery of stipend rent reversibility. 5 years, 5 figures, and effortless beauty arrives in time for it to no longer be my dream. Just waiting for the next birthday to steamroll you while gossip pours from pink houses and every car is itching to kill. Mochi ice cream on mini veranda, like wake me up when you figure it out. The whole not ending up in a bunker thing. Remember when smoke used to get you high? Now we just try to recall the simulation at the art fair because we could go get food afterwards. Since the sound of plastic crinkling has become metonymy for feeding time, aggregate data tames my body. I inflate dreams and make myself a laughingstock trying to ride them. God and his gun watch over Dad and his fun. Seersucker seduction and the quiet deployment of nuance to contain words from rearing their meanings. They were clean and sweet because time proved their center. Betting on McDonald's breakfast and guaranteed luxury mush. I'm attracted to great amounts of effort undergirding tiny beliefs with unimpeachable limits, because we don't need to discern the flatter path, what with our hale knees. I'm a few crises away from cherishing these mundane drainages. Non-specific warnings flow into samey compliments, adding up to solipsism baubles, filling an overstuffed house, lusting after all the nearby dumpsters. I had thought I would wait until you weren't looking, but this camera's infinite patience carries my death on a platter and serves my half-hearted rage right alongside the miracle berries. Crowd pleasers. Thank you.
Thank you, Violet. That was amazing. It's really good to be here. Thank you all for being here as well. So I am absolutely delighted to introduce the next readers. And I will begin by saying that we owe the Nature Theater of Oklahoma to Max Broad's refusal to destroy the unfinished novel America and his preparing it for publication in 1927. 3 years after Kafka's death 100 years ago. It actually is. He died in 1924, believe it or not. So it's been 100 years. You might recall that at the end of the novel, that isn't the end of the novel, written between 1912 and 1914, a theater company arrives in a town offering universal employment. Their call goes like this: "The Great Nature Theater of Oklahoma is calling you. It's calling you today only. If you miss the opportunity, there will never be another. Anyone thinking of his future, your place is with us. All welcome. Anyone who wants to be an artist, step forward. We are the theater that has a place for everyone in his place. If you decide to join us, we congratulate you here and now." There have been countless adaptations of Kafka's America, and you might recognize, actually, a really obvious one, mine. But that is completely minor in comparison to the operas, plays, TV shows, and films, such as Fellini's Intervista and Class Relations by Straub and Willet, and into artwork such as Martin Kippenberger's installation The Happy End to Kafka's America, which sets the stage for the job interviews that the theater company is to conduct. But to my knowledge, no one other than Kelly Copper and Pavel Liska have turned the fictional theater company into an actual theater company. My encounters with both Kelly and Pavel and with their work also have been, how to put it, the stuff of legend. I remember, to this day, seeing their production of Romeo and Juliet at the Kitchen sometime in the aughts. The two performers in the show sounded just like people sound, so much so that it was very, very, very eerie. It took me a while to realize what was going on. Each of the performers was delivering lines that had been originally spoken by people struggling to remember the plot of Shakespeare's play. The source of the entire work was transcribed language from interviews with bona fide participants in its creation. This was at a time in which conceptual poetry was being mythologized in the poetry world, in which many self-congratulated themselves for being above creative writing and for having invented uncreative writing. What the OK Theater, because they also go by OK Theater, what the OK Theater was doing was deliriously innovative and lacking in self-seriousness and a militant drive. They didn't seem to be setting out to purge theater of sentimentality or to shame those who believed in originality. Instead, their work seemed an extension of their formal investigations into the nature and the workings of speech and memory, into how the mind refracts cultural artifacts, injecting them with renewed sense of purpose and vitality. Their plays had a profound impact on me at the time, culminating with their marathonic ode to the poetics of the transcript, the Obie-winning 8-hour epic Life and Times, which I saw at the Public Theater in 2013. And those were 4 episodes. Now you're up to 8 episodes? Yeah? 9. Oh my God. Okay. Its source, a cast member's response to the question, the very simple question, tell me the story of your life. Kelly explains their approach. Though the language in Life and Times is all first-person singular, the I in the performance is very much plural. We are not interested in representing Kristen or her biography on stage, but rather use her first-person account as a lens for more enlarged consideration of self, community, and history. So imagine my surprise when my husband and I, many years ago, not that many years ago actually, almost 9 years ago, we were looking for apartments in Long Island City. And we walked into the lobby of the building we now live in and saw Kelly and Pavel in their signature OK Theater t-shirts, industriously walking down to the gym. Or when on a New Year's Eve, a few years later, I myself went down to the building's deserted gym, and after a workout, walked into a sauna to find them basking in its dry heat. So we spent a nice conversation on a New Year's Eve. It was totally deserted, nobody was there. I still don't know what these coincidences mean. I rarely see them since they're very frequently on tour, but when I do, I still experience a jolt of excitement at their apparition-like presence. I'm happy to announce that after many pandemic years, the OK Theater is finally returning to NYU's Skirball Center this December 5th through 7th with a show they made in 2018 called No President, a story ballet of enlightenment in 2 immoral acts. Kelly mentioned it's their version of story ballet set to music from the Nutcracker, but with sock penises and burpees and cannibalism. Please welcome Kelly and Pavel.
Thank you, Monica. So I'm Kelly. Pavel will come after me. We've just got some things that we've been writing when we're not making theater, which has been quite a lot lately. I'm interested in machine writing, and this thing that I'm going to read is I think I'm okay. I guess maybe I'm just standing on my tiptoes because I'm nervous. So I'm going to read something that was generated from a question that was asked. Oh wow, I'm not that short. Okay. Sure, yeah. Oh. Is it wrong? That feels dirty to me. Okay. So this was all generated from a single question that I asked Google. I just asked it, what is the meaning of life? And the rule was that I had to take, the next thing also had to be a question, and it had to be suggested by Google, because sometimes Google gives you people also ask. So it's, I don't know, it's revelatory maybe of the time that these questions were asked. I have no idea why Google suggests these things, but that's where it all comes from. And I'll just tear through it so Pavel has some time too. What is the meaning of life? What is the main meaning of life? Does life have any meaning? Do you know the real meaning of life? What does 459 mean? What is the number code for I love you? How do you say I love you without actually saying it? How do you say love without words? What is another way to say I love you? What else can I say but I love you? What is stronger than I love you? What is the most intense form of love? What does extreme love feel like? What does desperately in love mean? What do you mean by desperately? What does desperate actually mean? What does it mean when a person is desperate? How does a desperate person act? How do you know if someone is desperate? What makes someone look desperate? Can people tell if you are desperate? How does a desperate person act? Why do I attract desperate? Why do I attract emotionally unstable? Am I too mentally ill for a relationship? Can mental health ruin relationships? What is the most severe mental illness? What is the most fatal mental illness? What mental illnesses are murderous? What mental disorders do famous serial killers have? What mental disorder did the Joker have? What disorder does SpongeBob have? Is SpongeBob SquarePants secretly about mental illness? What mental illnesses does Batman have? Does Batman have borderline personality disorder? Does Batman suffer from PTSD? Did Batman have a traumatic childhood? What was Batman's worst fear? Does Batman ever cry? Does Batman ever get sleep? What does Batman eat? What is Batman's favorite color? What is Batman's favorite snack? What food does Batman not like? Is Batman a vegetarian? Is the Hulk a vegetarian? Is Bill Gates a vegetarian? Is Brad Pitt a vegan? What do you think of Brad Pitt as a human being? Is Brad Pitt the nicest celebrity in America? What's so special about Brad Pitt? What is the deal with Brad Pitt? Does Brad Pitt still have his wisdom teeth? Can I wear leggings to get my wisdom teeth out? How should I dress for wisdom teeth removal? Can I wear pajamas to wisdom teeth removal? Should I wear my hair up or down for wisdom teeth removal? Can you still wear deodorant when you get your wisdom teeth out? Will I spill my secrets when I get my wisdom teeth out? Will I act weird? Can you do stuff when you get your wisdom teeth out? Why do people say weird things when they get their wisdom teeth removed? When can I kiss after wisdom teeth removal? How long is bed rest after wisdom teeth removal? When can I give oral sex after getting all of my teeth pulled out? When can we have sex after a tooth extraction? Should someone be with me after wisdom teeth removal? What are you not allowed to do after oral surgery? What are signs of STDs in your mouth? And then, what is the meaning of life? What is the best definition of life? What is the best definition of life for you? What is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? What is the answer to everything? What is the correct answer? What does 42 mean? Why is 42 special? Why is everyone saying 42? Why is 42 so special in the Bible? What is the most inspirational? What is the most comforting Bible verse? What Bible verse can change your life? When scripture says God knows all things, does that include everything? What does it mean when God is ubiquitous? What is the paradox of God being all-knowing? Does Einstein believe in God? Is heaven real, yes or no? Why did God give us over to a reprobate mind? What exactly is a reprobate mind? Is faith a delusion? Can religion trigger schizophrenia? Who is most prone to schizophrenia? Are schizophrenics gifted? Are schizophrenics good in bed? Do schizophrenics cry? Do schizophrenics end up alone? How do schizophrenics talk to themselves? Do schizophrenics hear their own voice in their head? What do schizophrenic voices sound like? Do schizophrenics hear voices inside their head or outside? What is the meaning of life? What do we mean by life? What means having a life? What is considered not having a life? Why do I have no life? How do I start life again? How do I start living all over again as a new person? Is it too late to turn my life around and become a good person? Is 26 too late to turn it around? Is 38 too old to turn your life around? Would you say 24, 25 is too late to turn your life around? Have I wasted my life? How do I stop wasting my life? Is time anxiety, ADHD? Why can't I think clearly anymore? Why do I feel like my brain is shutting down? What are the symptoms of a brain shutdown? What is a nervous breakdown? Why do I suddenly forget where I am? Is it normal to forget why you walked into a room? Why do I keep forgetting things I just did? What is the Radvansky doorway effect? Were doorways always so low? What is the doorway challenge? What is a milk door? Why do old houses have tiny closets, etc.? Do milkmen still exist? Why are there no more milkmen? When did we stop having milkmen? Are milkmen coming back? What is the point of milkmen? Why does milkman milk taste different? Why does Walmart milk taste funny? What are the white chunks floating in milk? Can I drink milk with chunks in it? Is it safe to drink milk from the udder? What does milk taste like straight from the udder? Is udder milk good? Why can't we drink milk straight from the cow? Is the udder edible? Do cows feel good when milked? Is the udder edible? What part of a cow is not edible? What is cow udder meat called? Are any meats illegal? Why is horse meat banned in the US? Why does Taco Bell use horse meat? Why don't we eat dolphins? Why is it okay to eat tuna fish but not dolphins? What's the difference between tuna and dolphin? When did they stop putting dolphin in tuna? Has anyone accidentally caught a dolphin? Has a dolphin ever saved a human from drowning? What does it mean when dolphins swim around you? Do dolphins warn of danger? Do dolphins send signals? Can dolphins hear human voices? Is it legal to talk to dolphins? Can dolphins feel attraction to humans? How do dolphins show love? What is a dolphin kiss? How do dolphins flirt? Can I hug a dolphin? Do dolphins remember you? Do dolphins know their name? Do dolphins get attached to humans? Do dolphins feel empathy for humans? What do dolphins do when they are sad? What does touching a dolphin feel like? Do dolphins make love for fun? Do dolphins give oral? Why do monkeys eat their sperm? Why can't monkeys mate with humans? What happens if human sperm gets in a monkey? Has human ever had a baby with an animal? Can human sperm fertilize a goat? What happens when a human mates with a goat? What are some diseases goats can transmit to humans? Can goat worms pass to humans? What worms can humans get from livestock? What are the first signs of worms in humans? How do I deworm myself? How do I know I need to deworm myself? How can I deworm myself at home naturally? How do humans get rid of worms ASAP? Can apple cider vinegar kill worms? What should I drink if I have worms? Is it possible to kill parasitic worms by intoxicating yourself? What are the best movies to watch while high? What is the best Disney movie to watch while high? Why is Coraline so unsettling? What is the funniest movie to watch while high? How good is Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay? Has anyone successfully escaped from Guantanamo Bay? Is Guantanamo Bay that bad? Can civilians go to Guantanamo Bay? Does Guantanamo Bay have a McDonald's? Are there McDonald's in Russia? Is KFC still in Russia? What is the Russian replacement for KFC? Does KFC support Ukraine? What country loves KFC the most? Why is Jamaican KFC better? Is KFC more healthy than McDonald's? What fast food is the healthiest? Is Taco Bell meat real or fake? Is Taco Bell horse meat? What does Taco Bell put in their meat? What does taco meat contain? What do you put inside a taco? What is the most important part of a taco? Who ate tacos first? Is taco a hot dog? Is pizza a salad or a sandwich? Is cereal a soup? Yes or no? Is chili a soup? What is classified as a chili? Why is a chili called chili? Why is the country Chile called Chile? Why is Chile called Chile? Because it looks like a chili? Why is Chile its own country? Why isn't Chile and Argentina one country? Do Chile and Argentina get along? Who won the war between Chile and Argentina? Why did Argentina fall apart? Do they speak English in Argentina? What is the religion of Argentina? What percentage of Argentina is white? What is the whitest country in South America? What is the whitest state in America? Are there any towns that are 100% white? What percentage of the US is white? How many Black people are in the United States? What is the blackest city in America? What is the best place for a Black family to live? What is the best state for a Black woman to live? What is the best city to raise a Black child? What percentage of Black kids are fatherless? What race has the most single mothers? What race has the most Down syndrome? How many Black mothers are single? Do children need two parents? Is it better for children to stay married? Is it worth staying married for the kids? What is miserable husband syndrome? How do you tell if your wife has checked out? What does God say about bad wife? What are the reasons God said it's okay to divorce? Can God release you from marriage? What does the Bible say about sexless marriage? What happens when couples stop sleeping together? What is the meaning of life? Does life have any meaning? Do we all have a purpose in life? What does the middle finger mean? How do you say bad in a good way? Is wretched a bad word? What does dismal mean? What part of speech is dejected? What means déjà vu? Is déjà vu a seizure? What age does life get better? Is it worth it to live life? What's the point of life if you're not happy? Why can't we have everything? Is it okay not to feel happy? Does everyone have a hard life? Are human needs endless? Does true love come back? What is the meaning of life? What brings meaning to life? What do you call a person who enjoys life? Is it okay to have no friends at all? What do you do when no one wants you? How do you not be disliked by people? Why do I have misanthropy? Is misanthropy a trauma response? Am I an introvert or a misanthrope? Are introverts rarer than extroverts? What do introverts eat? Are they shy in bed? Do girls find introverts hot? What do girls actually want? What do people actually want? What does everyone want in life? What type of life do everyone want to live? What is a happy life? What is the secret to happiness? What does Oprah say the secret is to happiness? What is Oprah's best advice? Has Oprah had therapy? Is Oprah a billionaire? Who is the richest singer? How much does Dolly Parton make a year? What is the meaning of life? How can I live simpler? Is it okay? Is life just hard for everyone? Why am I struggling so much? Why is life hard? Why is human life so tough? God, why is life so hard? What does God say about life being hard? What does Jesus say? What does the Bible say about life is overwhelming? Why am I crying for no reason? Is there a pill to stop you from crying? What drug takes away sadness? What pills numb your feelings? Why don't I feel love anymore? Why don't I feel love for anyone anymore? Can repressed emotions come back? Can repressed emotions make you sick? Can repressed emotions cause physical pain? What does a somatic release feel like? What are the somatic energy release exercises? Are they legit? Can you lose weight doing somatic exercises? Which exercise make you lose the most weight? What burns fat while you sleep? What happens when you rub ice on your stomach? Does drinking water burn calories? Or why do Chinese drink hot water? Can drinking water hot burn fat? How can I drink water correctly? What is the meaning of life? What is the real purpose? What is the main goal of human life? What is the point of human existence? Who are we? Why are we here? Why are we here just to suffer? What kind of game is this? What kind of game is this a picture of? Can you remember the name of that game? Can someone tell me what game this is? What's the name of the game? Does it mean anything to you? Can you feel the way I do? Why the fuck am I always horny? What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? Why are we here? Why are we here? What is the point? How did humans get to Earth? What will we evolve into? How long will we last? Will we evolve to breathe underwater? Who will come after us? What will the Earth look like? What species will take over / replace us? What animal would replace us? How intelligent is octopus, for example? If an octopus is so smart, should you eat it? Is it wrong to eat intelligent animals? What about pigs? Are pigs special? What do you think about pigs? What do Muslims think about pigs? What do pigs think about? What makes pigs happy? Can pigs empathize? How do pigs look at you when they love you? What if you give them attention and treats? How do you stop thinking of someone? Is love a choice or a feeling? An idea or an emotion? How do you know? That's that.
I don't know how much time I have, so you just stop me, yeah? Because I don't know how long this is. I didn't have time to type it up. And I'll just keep going until you stop me, yeah? So you just stop me because it'll just, this is the prequel to the Bible. Chapter 1, verse 1. And, no, in the beginning it could not begin in the beginning. There was no beginning, and there will not be an end. Humanity is waiting, praying for the end in errant vain. The end and the beginning are an uninspired myth, a fairy tale for infantine adults in diapers, that old spirituous folly, lumpen proletarian, utopic ho-ho hope, myopic wish, a foolish fantasy of a retarded fish, ye old unholy allegory. Just because the common human mind was, and still is, too small to wrap around the big idea that there was, had always been, and likely would forever be, only the everlasting middle of the endless unbegun eternity. And at an arbitrary juncture of uncircumstances, on this sprawling, flabby middle, a conspiracy of all the proto-factors present then, whose relative particulars had been determined by a pre-dramatic accident, fastidiously staged and every detail micromanaged by unerring chance, when nothing tangible existed yet, or could exist, from the unfathomable deep, there manifested meg amam artha, talpa maximum primordialis, the primeval Yoda mole, a mole of unimaginable size, sole specimen of her arch species, meg amam artha, methodically bored endless tunnels, eating her way through the dense, gelatinous black void that fueled infinity, which unto her was grim, unsweetened, lumpy pudding, then the only substance available, while out her rear, expelling noisy clouds of poignantly excrementitious dust, the indigestible components of the void, and thereby fertilizing, making pregnant with potential all that space she excavated where existence could be possible, or where at least it would not be impossible. This lush bouquet of Yara moles effluvia of void primordial, distilled and atomized, imperishable, meg amam artha's gaseous essence, was her unseen, silent legacy that, lingering in perpetuity, would aerate and odorize what was to be the universe. Each mote of stubborn dust, a sly reminder of the gloomy, noisome, nihilistic womb whence all had come. But where and how and why Meg Amam Artha had herself been born, and why she did what she was doing, other than from hunger, is the ultimate unanswerable. To all other questions, going far and deep enough, the answers terminate at Artha. But to cross beyond, get through and past her, it would take the martyrdom and selfless sacrifice in flawless unison of 90,999 times 99 recovering astro-archaeologics, all aspiring saints, to find some bootleg portal into the beyond of the beyond. And although not impossible, even to an imbecilic optimist, it is unlikely. Artha guards with marble and unmourned, unsentimental, indifferent, and indomitable death the sacred secret, peradventure shameful by our stingy standards, of her origin and purpose. And without a hope of answers, there can be no questions. The existence and its meaning of Meg Amam Artha are thereby unquestionable. But a crucial attribute of cosmological perfection is that ignorance is part of knowledge, and that knowledge too is partly ignorance. And knowing recognizes that unknowables exist and understands that they exist so knowing could exist. Knowing feeds on them. The very essence of unknowables is to remain unknown. Not to know them is to know them truly. It is perfectly respectable to leave the offstage mystery of Meg Amam Artha unmolested, rather than usurp it for another far-fetched fictive narrative in which we play the leading role. Only a damned egomaniac would think that everything before us came expressly for our sake, that all of history, each of its distinct filaments, had led, converging there, to our species' origin. And we have always been the center of the universe, sole subject of God's thoughts and object of his actions. Chapter 2. And when Meg Amam Artha had consumed the entire immeasurable mass of the puddingoidal void available, each cubic hectare of the bland, black cosmic blubber, centillions of literally empty, unredeeming calories, no nutritional value whatsoever, but having bored out all known and yet undiscovered space, had run out of the only substance which her enormous, energy-inefficient body was capable of converting into fuel to move, nor did she have a reason anymore to move, Meg Amam Artha came to a full stop. With nothing left to continue to sustain her, the behemoth mole began to slowly die. And as it was indeterminable whether she was dying of starvation or of overeating, possibly of both, there was nothing to be done to reverse, retard, or halt the steady progress of her deterioration. And as she lay there nestled in her final resting place, a super Titan vessel stranded in inhospitable firmament, immobilized by agony of magnitude beyond the limits of the wildest, least inhibited imagination, from the knotted fibers of the pain she suffered in her death throes, in addition to already having hollowed out all space, Meg Amam Artha also spun the tortuous yarn of the totality of time. Time is Artha's pain transfigured, and as life without time is impossible, henceforward it would have to be endured in pain. And in the very moment of Meg Amam Artha's death, the first death ever, the original, along with her existence, also ended all her pain. And as she excreted from her rear with thunderous relief the contents of her prodigious digestive tract, which formed into a pool of diarrheal lumpy sludge of part digested void the size of several oceans stitched together, her body started decomposing. The excrement meanwhile fermented, and when it was ripe, within this proto-amniotic gravy, an infant organism was conceived, carried to term, and born. The explosive flatus that had accompanied the voiding of Meg Amam Artha's bowels was so loud that it would echo and reverberate long after Artha's body had disintegrated, and the infant heard it as the word God, and thought it was his name. But alas, before God matured enough to recognize the megamole's decaying body, realized that she had given birth to him and was his mother, much less the creator of all space and time, Meg Amam Artha's massive carcass had been pulverized into a vast massif of fecund dust, which God would call his home dominion unwittingly amid his mother's petrified remains. And God was alone in the dusty infinity of space and the tyrannical eternity of time. And God grew, and he expanded, and reaching his full amplitude, God was infinity. He was eternity. Yet still, always alone, God would forever suffer from a sense of orphanhood and of abandonment. Also, besides the plodding time and lonely space and the immense obscenity of dust, Meg Artha had bequeathed her son an unavowed inheritance of an inexplicable, ever-present fecaloid feeling. For God did not know, despite omniscience, in this particular regard he was benighted, and never would find out that elementally he was fermented feces of his own dead mother, or that he had even had a mother. In other words, God felt like shit and could not figure out why, that he had been born of shit, and at his core he was shit. And the single borderline effective remedy, although it barely masked the symptoms, was total immersion in exhausting work, relentless, constant toil, obsessional exertion motivated by a vital need to cure a blurry melody, acquire an indomitable spirit of idealism, urgency of mission, hunger for adventure, and in general feel better. And while he in sundry untried, stumbling ways attended to self-care, God would eventually create the universe, a process looping back upon itself, in which then God himself would be created and continuously recreated ad infinitum by his creation, the capricious universe. But none of the assorted reinventions and interpretations of God's character, his purpose or appearance, and not one of the misguided coping, therapeutic, veiled survival strategies God would employ in his endeavors to self-medicate, successfully allayed or managed even to diminish his congenital condition of generic bitterness, unjustified resentment, blank, intangible regret, or shoo away the pall of unjust disappointment permanently hanging over God. God's works or actions did not warrant any of them, and a crucial question would remain unanswered. Had Meg Artha's death come prematurely, by mistake, before she carried out her destiny? Could she have harbored other, altogether different dreams, or hoped to realize ambitions unrelated to creating time and space and even birthing God? No matter how momentous her achievements may objectively appear, it is conceivable and could explain God's self-abusive temperament, a famously hereditary trait, that when God's mother Artha was dying, what she might have thought was that her life had been a total waste and failure. She had lived in vain. But had she been allowed her full appointed length of time, which after all she had herself contrived but would not live to take advantage of, the acme of unfairness, and finished what she had been foreordained to do, in other words, but for Meg Artha's tragiform, cosmopoetically unmotivated bad luck, much too early death, perchance what is would not be, and what is not would. Chapter 3. God was and is and maybe will forever be, impossible to know for sure, a contradiction. Both the smallest and most primitive, stupidly simple thing, and the largest, inconceivably complex, inscrutable structure, simultaneously the strongest, confident, beyond measure, as well as the weakest, pathetically insecure, self-pitying life form. Only someone who can reconcile the diametrical extremes of any contradiction has a chance of first perceiving and then understanding God. The virgin chaos, hollowed out by God's dead mother, still had that familiar and reassuring new time and space smell, Yet God was abysmally depressed, all alone, the only something in existence, nothing there to offset him in contrast, offer friction and resistance, challenge and test. God was unable to get a tangible, coherent sense of himself. He brooded blearily and wallowed in empty self-pity. And because he knew nothing in particular, bemoaned everything in general. God's attention was dispersed in all available directions, but its myriad strands were free-floating in the uncultivated barrens, at best getting tangled up in one another, which brought God no relief from bearing the full weight, incidentally the prototype of gravity of his self-ignorance, unmitigable impotence, and existential futility. The conceptual anguish that his amorphous state had caused him had grown intolerable, and there was no hope that it would ever end. What possible reason could there have been to continue such an unalterably miserable subsistence? Rather than go on for the sake of going on, God resolved to expend no energy on his survival. However, soon, and luckily before it was too late, a learning opportunity presented itself which would unveil to God an aspect of his temperament that had been dormant because there had not arisen a reason yet for him to exercise it until now. Like everything divine and eternal, it was both good and bad. Good, as God would gain self-knowledge, sorely needed right about then, life-saving, and bad, because once this particular attribute of God had woken up, he would never be able to control it again. Or rather, more accurately, he would be unable to control how it defined his reign forever, no matter his unceasing struggles to rebrand his image and refurbish reputation. Out of the nebulous black-blue and tinged with orange deep emerged a giant creature of horrorous visage, substantially even larger than Meg Amam Artha, but based on appearance, in all likelihood designed by the same aesthetic sensibility, and as if attracted by his scent, moved straight towards God, increasingly fast, and seemingly got aroused the closer it got to him. It was to him. But God, for all intents and purposes, had grown catatonic and did not so much as stir or react in any perceivable way. He maybe had not noticed, being too weak and on the verge of death, the latter a problem which tends to trump all others, that he had company, prior to this an unfathomable phenomenon, or God was so deathly apathetic that he could not bring himself to care regardless of what happened or whoever it was that had grown up in God's undeclared, untitled realm. It was Guvub, a character whose origin, if he indeed existed, can reportedly be traced to an innocuous typographical error committed in the earliest stages of the present scripture's composition. A hypothesis unchallenged even by the most fanatic devotees of Guvub, which but does not diminish their belief in Guvub's corporeality. On the contrary, it amplifies it and in a warped way cements further their already unshakable conviction of their idol's supremacy over God with regard to the individual roles they each played in the creation of the universe. And subsequently, over the course of countless succeeding revisions and in the process of mechanical, mindless, and often distracted copying of the scripture by multiple scribes, or multiple personalities of one and the same scribe, as the case may have been, this Guvub, born a common typo, had taken on a life of his own and grew into a veritable villain of monstrous magnitude. By our doughy, ultra-tender, postmodernistical moral standards. Anyway, a rabidly ferocious, most malevolent primeval animal, no offense to animals in general, the primogenitory ancestor of Repenomamus giganticus, a species of badger, basically the badger, which incidentally, or not so incidentally, happens to be, as it was then in the beginning, the mole's primary natural predator, a literally otherworldly beast, as in from an alternate, altogether separate, autonomous cosmosector, on the whole irrelevant to ours, but for the visitation by Guvub, and judging from their shared design features, very possibly also by Meg Amam Artha, and for what these two uninvited guests had done or set in motion here.
Thanks, everybody, so much for coming. Thank you, Violet, and thank you, Kelly and Pavel of Nature Theater. Next week, we have Charles Alexander and Laura Jaramillo, so please come back for that. But thanks, everybody, for coming. And please, if you haven't already, tip the donate to Segue. All the donations go to the readers. If you're online, you can do it via Venmo. So thanks, everybody, again.
I wish the milkman would deliver my milk in the morning. I wish the milkman would deliver my milk when I'm yawning. I wish the milkman